Ayo, welcome to Benchwarmers, a WOSO podcast, episode 43, leggy. We've been waiting so long for 43. You know why? Because it's not just some academy kid. Well, it kind of is some academy kid, but there's two players in mind, one from Barcelona, one from Real Madrid. You should know 43 for Barcelona straight off the head. I mean, I'll give it to you. You can say at what episode this is. Who's the GOAT? Who's 43? Who's going to take over WOSO? What's her name?
Carla Julia.
Yes, it is. It's Carla Julia. I'm going with Iris Santiago.
I had her
the Real
down
Madrid.
as well.
Yeah, unreal. See, we're prepped and ready for this one, primed for 43. This is why we had to skip straight away. Carla Julia is going to take over. I wonder what number she'll get when she's like in the senior team, or does she just hold on to 43?
Well, I mean, a lot of players have been shifting around numbers recently for different clubs.
It is crazy.
So, yeah.
Yes, but I reckon she reeks of stealing Salma's number when
I thought she was going to take Anya's number, like take 22.
Yeah, maybe Carla Julia 2022, that CJ 22, that I don't mind that. But I mean, there are a lot of numbers now open at Barcelona to take. But we will talk about that in our preseasons coming up later on. But we are still going through our team of the seasons. Last week we did Liga F. This week we are off to the Bunds. We've vamosed away from Spain and gone to Germany. An amazing season in the Bunds. Started amazing, kind of drifted off into a bit of irrelevancy once Bayern secured it, in the sense of like there was less jeopardy and the gap between VfL Frankfurt and the Bunds pack was pretty solidified. But all in all, a pretty good season, I'd say.
I agree. I think it was one of the most competitive seasons, despite the champion eventually being invincible and having an incredible goal record. I thought from basically second to fifth, it was incredibly tight, and the standard that we're seeing from Germany and coming out of Germany is only going to facilitate an exceptional 2027 World Cup from the German national team as well.
I mean, I've said it time and time again on this pod. Regular listeners know that Germany is my pick for the 27 World Cup, just because I mean, Leggy and I are just sick of Spain and England. We have to have someone. I'm not sick of Spain, but like if I predict Spain to win the World Cup, everyone's just going to be like, wow, he's the same person with the same middle of the road takes. Like, I'm sick of all of our listeners going, wow, she's trying to rage bait us for clicks. I'm like, no, she's my friend and these are her takes. I'm just the standard person, but I'm going football all the way, especially with some of the players we're going to make note of. But as we start every end of season awards show, we're going to start with our team of the season. Leggy, kick it off. Who do you have in your Frauen Bundes team of the season?
I felt like a lot of these positions fit themselves based on how good the quality of the league, of the players were in this league. And I think that there are very, very good players, and those players enter my team. And then there are some players who I think in the coming years will probably be in the FRAUEN Bundesliga team of the season. But I've gone quite a middle-aged 25, 26 averaged team, and it's a 3-5-2 because we're back on leggy ball.
Oh my God, leggy! 1 week we had 1 week of leggy ball, 4 at the back, and now I'm about to hear some. Am I about to hear some madness? Am I about to get my heart rate up?
I don't think so. I think that these players, this is where they play. This is either their favored position or a position that they've adopted throughout the season. So you're not getting anything crazy.
I mean, I trust you. I haven't looked at your 11, so we'll find out how we go.
Well, my goalkeeper is obviously Ina Marmutovic from Bayern.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, she's 22 years old and this is her second season, and has been chosen as the number one keeper, playing a majority of her games, both in the Bunds and outside of the Bunds, so in the Champo, with Grawe playing some games in the league, but also playing in the Cup. So that's one big step. I mean, she went from, I think, around 19 games, all competitions last year, to 30 games, all competitions this year, and she's had an exceptional season. I mean, this is a player that's had 11 clean sheets, had a save percentage of about 80%, whilst also only keeping about an average of 1.71 saves a game. So even though she's keeping out a lot of goals, any of the shots coming towards her, she's saving. She's incredibly confident with her feet in distribution. I think she sets such a benchmark of mentality between the sticks. And I think from a 22-year-old, as I said earlier, this is pretty crazy when we think about our goalkeepers in women's football being a bit older and a bit more experienced, especially for the top teams. She has been one of the outliers, and I think one of the best goalkeepers, not just in Germany, but in Europe.
Not a safe pick in the sense of that there are some other options to go for, but like she has definitely upped her level from last season as a whole. Like I think there wasn't necessarily a shoe-in for her to be the starting keeper for a team like Bayern, and then to not really waver at any point. I think her only really bad games were in the Champions League, and I don't really think they were necessarily her fault, but the level jump from last season as well, I think she's put more games into her legs, nearly double the amount of games, so her durability's clearly gone up. I think there's a lot of specifically her ability with her feet. I think she has a very good long distribution. Her pass accuracy is fantastic, and then obviously no errors leading to goal, which is very impressive, sweeping quite well. I think it's of that ilk. The Bayern Munich goalkeeper is just like tethered through Menso legacy. That has to be like, obviously you're not trying to fill the shoes of a keeper like Manuel Neuer, but ultimately having a player like Neuer at the club to learn off of, regardless of gender, is incredibly vital and incredibly crucial. And if you look through German history, even to successful VFL Frankfurt sides, it all starts with a rock at the back that you believe in. And Anna Marmutovic, clearly now with Gross leaving, has been definitively chosen as the one to lead the back line.
And I think what has helped her is the first of my 3 centre-back pairings, which is Magdalena Eriksson. I mean, she, at 32 years old, is still one of the best lockdown defenders in the world.
I hate how good she still is. It's not fair. Chelsea fans are dying for a centre-back like
Chelsea,
Maggie.
Yeah, there are a couple of Chelsea X-backs that I have in my team, which were incredibly painful for me to pick. But I think Eriksson, out of the 2 that came to Bayern in 2023, was the most underrated, because I think that a lot of people expected somebody to come in and be more of a second centre-back to the new and upcoming centre-backs that Bayern were accruing. But this is a player that played 16 games this season and, yes, had scored a couple of goals, but that's not really the end of her story. She has the most accurate passes in the league, just behind Vanessa Gilles. That statistic is a bit skewed only because she played more games than Gilles. So if they played around the same games, I would presume Eriksson would be number 1. Her defensive contributions, despite Bayern only conceding 9 goals in their 26 games this season, were all 1v1 lockdown efforts. Her distribution outside of centre-back, something that I didn't expect from Eriksson because that's not her style, was something that I think has been markedly improved. And of course her team doesn't concede a lot of goals, so a lot of her work is on distribution and in terms of bringing the ball into midfield. And she has done an exceptional job at that. And I think she's done her role. I mean, that's all you can do. No one's expecting her to be the world-class centre-back she was at Chelsea, but she's still doing a fantastic job and still one of the better centre-backs that we have in the game.
Oh, big moments this season. Goal line saving clearances. Won't forget that Hoffenheim game as well in May, 89th minute equalizer, right, to keep the invincible season alive. Like, this is the kind of, like, to have a player like Eriksson as like your third choice aerial threat, and also after she scored that, like, to have a team with Gilles, Harder, someone like Stanway whipping the ball in, and their whip and Ket as well, Simon as well, all amazing aerial like creators, to all decide, oh, okay, instead of Gilles, instead of Harder, we're going to whip it to Eriksson. That's a sign of respect. Like, a player who's 32 years old, you have Pernille Harder in her prime, Gilles, who's arguably one of the best aerial threats in the world, and they're still whipping it to her because they know how much of an aerial threat she is. But obviously that's only a fraction of her game. As you mentioned, her distribution, both feet, is absolutely magnificent. I think her aerial duels and then the ability for the fast Bayern fullbacks to be those outlets for her that make up for her, like, it's not a lack of pace, but the drop off of pace that has gone from now to Chelsea, I think, is clear. But again, that's also recognizing your ability and making up for that. You could arguably say this is her best season at Bayern. A lot of people will probably say her 23-24 season, the season when she joined from Chelsea, was her best season. But I think there is a sense of, again, like she's aging like a fine wine. She doesn't look like slowing down. I expect a similar level next year if they're going to go after what is next in line for a team that's in a domestic treble, which is probably going that next step in the Champions League. But obviously, without Maggie Eriksson, I think they would struggle even in this season to get to the position they got to.
Well, Germany is becoming one of those leagues where you can age quite gracefully in whatever position you're playing in. We saw it initially with the likes of Pop and Pernille and now Eriksson. Players
Huth, Dahlmann.
Yeah, I think that players would rather choose to stay in Europe and play in Germany at their older ages than go to the NWSL or MX, because it does facilitate that style and that not you don't have to succumb much to your age in Germany. You can just rely on your incredible intelligence or your already garnered skills, especially in centre back. I mean, you have those very likely types of strikers in Germany who will attack you with their feet. But if you're strong like Eriksson is, then you have that on a lot of those strikers, and you're older than them and obviously more experienced, so you have that as well.
But also universal love. Like, I don't know, I think Bayern, their fans show up for their games, whether it's at the campus or the Allianz. They had some amazing environments that they facilitated this season, and players like Eriksson are a part of their gracefulness, their world-class 11 that they built this season.
Yeah, and alongside Eriksson, I have my left-sided centre back, which is Janu Levels.
So you have one centre back.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just when you say a back three, you have one centre back,
Yes.
and then Janu Levels is the left centre back.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
My goat Janu playing left centre back, but you know what? She has to be in. Somehow you have to fit her in.
She was exceptional this season. Her first season for VFL, which was quite surprising. I know that we keep up with VFL, but it feels like she's been a VFL veteran, and she's only 21, 22. Like she's I think 24 actually. She's had a really, really good season. She's easily one of the best left backs in the world during what we coined as the kind of left back WOSO crisis.
Nah, I think left backs are back. I think we bullied left backs back. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think Carla Julia has saved the left back position, but Janu Levels, I mean, we've spoken about her specifically basically the entire season. One of our first talks was the Avicii Levels mix anyway. Janu, after, I mean, there were some games this season. I know she was piling on like flat track bully stuff, but her, like, the only issues in her game were maturity and experience. And that's the thing, is that this was one of her, like, this is her first full season at left back. And I think it's the beginning, that not the end. That's the scary part. You've gone from a player like Eriksson, who's in her immaculate maturity and will hold this level, but Janu can get better, and Janu will get better. I don't know how it's going to be without Pop to aim for. A lot of her assists this season, I believe 9 assists, right?
7 assists, 3 goals.
7 assists, 3 goals. Amazing stuff, especially some of her goals from outside the box, some of them taking on players, hitting the ball near post. Like, an amazing footballer. She takes corners for VFL, which is, I mean, again, at that age, I mean, she could be taking corners till she's 35 if she really wants to stay at VFL and be a legend like Pop or Huth in that caliber. But I think her best game this year was the 3 assists. She got a hat trick of assists. I can't remember who it was against, but they absolutely piled on someone. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Nuremberg. They won 6-1 away from home, and she had 3 assists. And you know what? I expect more games like that next season, especially when she has the ability to create amazing chances. Even that Werder Bremen game where they won 4-2, she had 1 goal, 1 assist. Like, she just is, like, 25 years old. This is just like the beginning of the peak, and I'm hoping that, I mean, she's been in the Bunds for a while now. This is her 3rd season, and this is by far her best season, and I'm hoping with more UWCL minutes she can command the respect. Also pushes Esme further forward in the Dutch team so she can be the sole left back, and then you have Caspi further forward for Wilms to be the sole right back. We're looking at Dutch flanks are so back.
Yeah, and I think Levels really encapsulates what we love about fullbacks, but more so what Germany is introducing through the likes of VFL and buy-in, which is genuine attacking fullbacks, players who aren't scared to take their players on. Per 90, she makes at least 2 or 3 dribbles, and that they are all 62% of them are successful. So at least she's trying,
Insane.
And one thing I really like about Janu is that despite the team around her being quite attacking heavy and having struggled in the past seasons to fill a fullback role that is both attacking and defensive, she holds down the fort incredibly well. I think that her run backs and the way that she is able to recover balls is incredibly underrated. And she is very defensively solid. She never gets dribbled past or barely gets dribbled past. And she keeps, when she's on the park, clean sheets. And I think that that's most important. Per 90, she has 1.13 or even 0 goals conceded. So that's like pretty insane with her defensive contributions being around 6.4.
She's also got a bit of spite in her game. I like that. I like a fullback that's got a bit of like anger and like aggressiveness. I mean, namely the game where she got sent off against Werder Bremen, her red card late on. But look, that's sometimes you need that in a fullback. I think sometimes she got thrown centre half, especially later on in the season when they were playing Champions League, when she's playing in a back line of Kuva and Vedemeyer, and she has to recover back and track back for what they were doing there, especially when Stina Johannes was injured. Their whole back line, the leadership of her. That's why, I mean, when we're looking at goalkeepers, there's a lot of different directions to look at, but I think Janu Levels was probably a shoe-in for both of us.
Yeah, agree. And I think the other shoe-in is right-sided centre-back, which is Francisca Kett. And
yes, the other right centre-back that's also a centre-back.
Yeah, well, this is the reason why top clubs are after Francisca Kett is because she is incredibly versatile, right? She is traditionally a left-sided, left.
She's a left back. Yeah.
She's usually a left back, but because of Julia Gwyn's injury, she's had to fill in at right back, and she's been amazing. She's been one of her standout seasons, if not her standout season. She actually joined Bayern a few seasons ago. I think 4 seasons
she's been there
ago.
a while.
But she got injured. So last season she got injured, the season before she got injured. And these aren't minor injuries. These are injuries that set her back months or even whole seasons. So for her to come in, start 16 games, play 22, this is the breakout season for Francisca Kett. And this is coming off the back of an incredible Euros as well. And so coming back, the games that she's played, the minutes that she's accrued, and still having such a consistent level and being, as I said, similar to Janu Levels, we're seeing a defender who can both go up and go back at great efficiency and great strength. I think what's something underrated about Francisca Kett is she's very strong on the ball and off the ball, and she's very fast, and she can do all those things that maybe they would have missed with Julia Gwyn, and they were able to get it in spades with someone like Francisca Kett, who is still incredibly young and doing it at a great level.
I mean, I'd have to ask what would be like. Obviously, this is Kett's best season, no question about it, in Bayern colours. But obviously, is scapegoated by the fact that Gwyn was injured. Yeah. Do you think that a player like Gwyn, or even like Gwyn, did play a lot of games this season despite the injury? But I was going to ask about Caroline Simon. Do you think Carlotta Simon was she even a thought in your mind? Because I think she played more right back this season. I think she was the one who kind of like shifted over to that side to accommodate for Gwyn. Gwyn can also play both sides. I think that's what I love about the Barcalas Bayern model, is that all the fullbacks can play either side. I don't think it really bothers them, the preferred foot of each player. Obviously, Gwyn has both feet, but she's obviously right dominant. But then you have a player like Simon who can use both, and then Kett, who's obviously preferred on her left foot, but I think can also play right back. But I guess my question is, Simon had an amazing season. Do you think she was close? Was she in your mind at all?
I think she was somewhat in my mind. I think the 6 assists that she got this season were incredible. She played 18 games. Yes, she's on my mind. She's 33 years old. She does have her problems, especially running back. The thing that really differentiated.
I mean, she is past her prime. Like her best seasons in the Bunds would take us back a few seasons, like 22-23 era. I think that start of that Bayern dynasty where she was just a shoe-in at left back or right back. But I think I get, in terms of the breakout season, I think Kett is the one to watch.
Yeah, exactly right. She had played at a better level, and I think that with Simon, there's always that. I mean, I don't want to call it like insecurity, but I do think that it's like if you had a back four of Magdalena Eriksson's, you're not going to win the league. So you need a bit of versatility, and I think that that's what Francisca Kerr offers, even more so than even the likes of Pedamors, who plays in that back line, etc. So she is that real lightning rod in the back line, and that's why I put her in. She was just so good this season.
I think I do have her in, but I might switch it out. I don't know. She was very good in the Bunds. I think it is. If you're going just Bunds coded, she was unbelievable. I think the UWCL, that red card does hurt her. But even in the games where she wasn't even the games where she did cost Bayern in the end, I think she was still incredible, and her attacking capability is as good as anyone from fullback. So I think that you have a right to put her in 100%. Right centre back, who knows? But I'd love to see her play there in this leggy ball 3 at the back, to be fair.
I would too. Play the leggy ball, Barkala. No one's stopping you.
All right, we're jumping in. Let's go into the midfield. How are we looking?
I have 2 holding double pivots, which is Janina Minga and Georgia Stanway.
Yeah, Minga further up. Here we go.
So I think Janina Minga, I think that she's incredibly versatile. You could play her at centre back, you could play her at centre mid. I just think that the goal contributions as well as the leaderships from centre mid, she deserves that centre midfield position. 6 goals, 3 assists, having started 21 games and played 25. So basically all the games she played. This is a player who is so incredibly good. She's in her prime right now at 27, and this is coming off a similarly exceptional season with VFL last season. But again, it's only her second season at VFL, and she's already captain alongside Huth and Pop, who is leaving. And I think that just says it all. I mean, if you're in the echelon of Pop and Huth, you kind of know the player's quality and their character, really.
Yeah,
and
100%.
There are big moments this season for Minga, big game-winning moments, big game-saving moments. I think we saw a lot of her attacking prowess this season. Similar to Georgia Stanway, they're very good at breaking lines. And that's really what I love in a centre mid that is both metronomic, but also can just shift a gear and kind of, differentiate themselves from what could be a sludgy game or a very slow game. She and the amount of joules she wants to get the ball back, the successful passes, the distribution, again, the shots, all really, really good and really unlikely from a centre mid in Germany, a Germany that does usually facilitate more of those holding midfielders, not ones that are more experimental with the way that they want to go up forward.
There's no question about it. Minga was probably the 12th person in my team. She was the one who was incredibly unlucky to miss out. Literally, VFL without Minga is, again, they weren't really near Bayern this season, but they would be closer, they would be under Frankfurt. I'll be honest.
By
a mile, and she takes penalties. There's so much to her game. I think both VFL and Germany underutilize her in her capabilities, but also through means of a system, right? It's hard to fit her in to her best position when they don't have the cover in the same way, or you have to wait for that cover. I love Camilla Kuva. I think she's going to be the next big thing in defensive stocks for Germany, but Minga can't move into that 6/8 position if if Vuk doesn't trust in her. But again, next to Vedemeyer, next to Kuva, I hope that they develop that partnership more so that we start looking at VFL as an impenetrable force in their back line that makes up for the fact that their forward stocks have just been decimated this season.
I agree. And I think that one of the things I have as a kind of continuum in my team is a lot of the time the players are exceptional, but the team around them lets them down. And I think Minga is a fantastic case of that, other than in comparison to someone like Georgia Stanway, who has a real case for being player of the season.
God.
And has been basically since 2022 not only Bayern's but one of Germany's most consistent players in the league. I mean, this is a player who came in from City, who is English. There aren't very many English players.
Don't remind me that we got rid of this girl. Why did we get rid of? I know why we got rid of this girl. We didn't have a space for her. Sadly, I don't know why. I mean, what in the track record of Jill Roord made us think we could have thrown them Jill Roord? Jill Roord would have left Bayern Munich within 8 months. I mean, that's just the Jill Roord way. And we could have kept Stanway. We wouldn't have Stanway at Arsenal at this point where I'm fearing for my entire safety as a human being. I'm fearing for everyone at the Emirates who stands behind the goal, because if Stanway skies a shot, which she doesn't do often, but if she does, good luck in the stands. You might die. They might have to put a danger Stanway shooting but like, my God, I mean, we'll get to Stanway properly when I give her due respect. But again, Bayern, we talk about Minga hypothetically leaving and what VFL would be without her. Bayern without Stanway next year, I don't see them anywhere near there. It is seriously a we cannot replace her situation. Like, she is one of a kind footballer, and I will give her a few more superlatives later on in the show.
Well, I don't think there's a more complete footballer than Georgia Stanway. Defensively, she's incredibly solid. She's a true attacking force.
Mentality.
She's composed in possession, aggressive out of it. I don't know. I think Stanway has had one of the best seasons on paper for sure.
No question
she's
about
incredibly influential to that team's success. I mean, there is an invincibility there for a reason. Of course, there's defensive reasons, but there is those holding midfield players that I think run the machine for a lot of the most successful teams in the world, men's or women's football. And I think she's up there. I think with the likes of her English counterparts kind of dropping off, so Ella Toon, you have Kira Walsh also, I think she's just kept her level. And that to me is impressive, because you're playing 22 games out of 25, you've started 22 games, played 25 out of 26. You're playing Champions League football. Like, this is an insane level. She's getting upwards of 2,000 minutes. Like, this is abnormal
insane
for a footballer to continue their level and be so consistent whilst also accruing so many games.
Yeah, it's insane, her durability, her capability, her mentality, never want to lose, never want to, like, even in games where, like, not for club but for country, like, I don't know, she's the one who's playing against China in a friendly going, I want a fucking hat-trick, let's smash them 18 fucking nil, and they win 8-0 and she's got a hat-trick from the middle of midfield because she's the one who puts the midfield on her back, right? Like, yes, it's no longer the prime Walsh, prime Tooney, it is prime Stanway, right? So she is the one who will stick around the longest. Yeah, exactly. And I think she'll only get better playing with Russo, playing with Kelly, playing with Williamson. The English hyperlinks will be crazier, more astute, more like it becomes more second nature for Wiegman. I think Wiegman is probably the most happy about this Arsenal move because it will benefit her system in ways that you can't really replicate other than the fact that they get more minutes together.
I'm just really fascinated to see what number she picks. That's all I want to know. I need to get the jersey.
I mean, can they drape off anyone?
I really wanted to get 14. So because
she has to get her number. You don't think she'll get the 31 on?
I mean, yes, there is the possibility of the 31. I just think that, if anyone's going to take the 14, and I didn't like DVD getting the 14, just to say.
Well, no, she's off now. The 14 is gone now, so DVD has the 1.
She has the 1. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe starting a new era.
But Smiller has the 31, right? They haven't changed Smiller's number. So I would rather Smiller get a different number and Georgia gets the 31 because I just think the 31's so
11.
iconic.
Smithy's 11.
Yeah, that's true.
Smiller hasn't changed. So
what was her number at City? Was it 10, I believe? I think it was 10. So I mean, she can't get the 10, can she? You can't give her the 10. You've still got Kim there. They're not draping the 10 off Kimmy. So so I assume it's 31 it is. If she chooses a different number, that'd be absolutely wild. I'm kind of here for Georgia Stanway 14, but I'm here for Georgia Stanway 31. Keep the legacy going. And I mean, I'm very afraid. But who wraps up your midfield so you're playing a 3-5-2? At least you've got 2 actual sixes in their position. Yes. So I rate that for leggy ball. But then who is next in the 10?
In my 10, this is where the real attacking prowess begins because we've put in Larissa Mulhouse. I mean,
that's correct. Yes, 100%.
The top goal scorer in the Bundesliga this season after a solid 2 previous seasons. 2 seasons I think would have gone underrated if you're not watching the Frauen Bundes. But this is her last season for Hamburg. She's signed on to Frankfurt, and what a way to leave. I mean, this is a striker or a 10, whichever way you want to put it. She has played both this season.
Both,
in the ilk of Alex Pop. And of course, we've noticed Alex Pop this season dropping back into that 10 because, yes, she can play in the solitary 9, but it's that contribution to the goals. It's that contribution to build up that we've seen from Marissa Mulhouse basically from the start of the season and probably earlier, as much as I've been watching Werder Bremen this season and last season. I've seen genuine efforts by Mulhouse to contribute to that build-up play. I think that what she does that really stands out is she's an inevitable player. I mean, she will inevitably score. She will inevitably get a big game moment. And in some cases, she will inevitably start playing. She will inevitably get into the game. And I think any version of Mulhouse, whether it be a 10 or a 9, and any point in which she wants to start showing up in games, whether it's from the first minute or from in the 89th, she is a dangerous, dangerous player, and she is a game changer for sure.
It's not even a question. She was the first name on the team sheet for the front three. You just have to include the top goal scorer sometimes, or you just look at your team and you're just like, okay, that's just wrong. But the fact that she played the first half of the season in the 9, they dropped her deeper to get her away from the notion of playing with her back to goal, which I absolutely adore. And they brought in Desic. Desic started, she even played at left mid at some points this season, Mulhouse. But to bring in Desic, Sternad ended up rotating into the 9 a little bit as well. They also had to facilitate the fact that a player like Mulhouse has so many variety of goals. Like, she has such an ability to create chances from deep. She has the ability to strike shots. She's got an absolute rocket and a half from her right foot and her left foot. And we will talk about some of the goals she scored earlier on in the season when we get to those sections of the podcast. But I do think this is a level for Mulhouse that needs to be replicated if she's going to be the big money move for Frankfurt, especially with Anyomi leaving. A little bit of a spoiler for the latter points of part 2 of the podcast, but I do just think she's had to deal with a lot of stuff, Mulhouse, this season. The formation changes, the different striker she plays with, if she plays up front, if she chooses not to play up front. She's got so many avenues to her game that Frankfurt should be very welcoming to, and I really hope that they can get the best out of her, despite the fact that there has been a little bit of a Frankfurt exodus in that way, and I think she could be the talisman for Frankfurt, no question about it, and I'm so excited. We've been talking about her for so long. She'll definitely take penalties as well. She's such a fucking penalty merchant. Like, she's a dead ball specialist in her own right, which is exciting to see. But now, I mean, look, it's 3 seasons in a row. For Hamburg, she got 23 and 28 2 seasons ago. She had 14 last season as well. And then now she's just done 17 and 4. I would argue it's her best season. She's basically the Natalia Ramos of the Frauen Bundes. Like, any time that she's playing well, her team is winning games. And I hope, and also rightfully so, she's getting called up to the German national team. It doesn't matter that Shakira Martinez is doing the business in the WSL. It doesn't matter that Alex Pop is generational. It doesn't matter that Bull, Brand, Searchy are all incredible. Yeah, Freigang, all amazing players. Mulhouse is getting called up. Mulhouse can definitely be the answer in the 9 or in the 10 to solve the issues of their midfield. We don't really know who that 10 is. They've shoehorned Eula Brand in there at some points this season.
You can't go
but she can play up front. Yeah, that's the point. So whether it's her or Anyomi or Searchy, who actually knows? But Mulhouse presents a good problem to have. It's not a bad problem to have a player like Mulhouse sitting on your bench to take penalties, especially if you're going into extra time. You bring on Mulhouse, she could score a goal to win a game, but also take a pen and she won't miss. She's got that Ivan Toney, Georgia Stanway, Alyssa sense about her. I actually think if Germany go into penalties, they shouldn't lose. If you have AKB in goal and then you have three of the top 5 penalty takers in the world in Minger, Sense, and Mulhouse, I would say you're 3-0 up. You're
They would have
3-0
won-
up in every shootout.
They would
yeah.
have won the semi-final if it wasn't for Aitana. They would have gone to penalties and they would have
Oh,
won the game.
100%. They would have beaten Spain. Spain are horrendous at penalties, but I do think that this Mulhouse is everything right with the German youth system, and she's gone from 20 years old, built into this semblance of maturity that's, again, she's 23. She's only going to get better from now till the time she's 28, and then I can see her starting for Germany at some point, maybe even making the Bayern move or even going to the WSL. I think her physical nature, not her mobility, I think her mobility will develop more at Frankfurt and eventually as she goes on into her career, but the ball striking power is so suited for the WSL.
Well, I mean, and Frankfurt are incredibly lucky because on one hand they have a great 1v1 attacker in Freigang who does dip in and out of seasons. She starts off very well, then she fades out in the middle of the season and she ends it quite well. But Mulhouse is consistent. That's why she's in this team, is because she doesn't drop off and she is there. Werder Bremen didn't have an exceptional season, but they were having the season that they were having, which was one of their best in the Frauen Bundes, because of those goals that were by Mulhouse. Like, she is game changing, she's team changing, and really institution changing for someone like Bremen.
Definitely.
So now we go on to my fullbacks, which again, like I did in the WSL, are just
I'm so
wingers.
afraid. Oh my God, we're doing this track back nonsense again. Please pick players that I know can track back at least.
So I haven't picked players who can track back, except for one. And actually
who have you got?
one of these players, spoiler alert, does play as a kind of fullback for Germany and is not very good at it. So anyway, Clara Bull is my first player, which is on my left side.
Famously tracking back so much for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, very much so.
You've put the best player on earth in many people's opinion.
I didn't say that this team is not going to concede a goal. I never said that. They're going to concede many goals.
Oh, leggy ball's killing me. No, you know what? Respect. At least you've got Clara Bull in there somehow.
Yes, because outside of her mid-season injury, Clara Bull ended the season basically just how she started it. One of the most dangerous players on the park. No matter the opposition, no matter how much time she gets, no matter how much time she is on the park, she will impact the game. I can't
believe you forgot her middle name. How did you forget her middle name, Leggy? Come on, say it.
Clara motherfucking Bull.
Damn straight.
Coined.
There we go.
I think it's easy to say that Bull is just simply a product of this Bayern system. She has that forward line in front of her that every ball she whips in will be a shot on target, let alone a goal. But that's really reductive, I feel, because
it's so reductive.
Because as much of a goal contributor that she is, I actually think she's quite metronomic and quite a distinct player in that Bayern team. She really sets the tone on that left-hand side in ways that you would usually expect from someone like a centre midfielder. But when Bayern want to go up, she's the one instigating going up. If they want to drop back, she's the one instigating it. Is she the best dribbler as a winger? No. Is she the best defensive winger? Absolutely not. Is she the best goal-scoring winger? No. But she does her role. That's all that everybody's asked her to do, and that's all she does, and she does it to the world-class standard. And look, I'm not gonna shun a player for not being exceptional at everything when they're absolutely exceptional at the one thing that they're very good at, which is goal contributing.
I also think what you've kind of said there's also a bit reductive. I mean, when you have Pernille Harder up front, yes, you're going with the odds to play her the ball. I think Clara Bull for Germany is a different beast because of the 9 issue they've had. Also, she can strike. Her ball striking skills from deep, from distance are amazing. I mean, Bayern, she's shown a different level to her 1v1s. Her opening up the foot and putting it into the far corner a few times this season, to my recollection. Also getting in behind the back shoulder of her fullback and killing them. But then also, you said the dribbling thing. I think she's one of the best 1v1 dribblers in the world. She takes on her, like, yes, it's a lot of it is touch and run, and it's very it's very Liv Smith or Alyssa Thompson style dribbling. But again, that's a skill in itself, and her ability to keep the ball uncontrollably in control. Yes, it doesn't look like it's not Pina, it's not Carla Julia, it's not Lauren Hemp about that same way. but it is masterful football. And there was a point in this season where I had her down as the best player in the world. I still think if every player is on form right now to the level we've seen this season, the highest peak we saw this season was Clara Bull. In that like October to the end of the year period, she was absolutely inevitable on that left side. I mean, that's why we got our most viral clip with Clara Bull. The things she did, not just in the Bunds, but in the Champo, were devastating stuff. Never say die, never give up. 2-0 down against Arsenal. The one goal she scored against Barcelona in the 7-1 was a very Clara Bull classic finish, the low driven into the far corner. Like, there are so many snapshots. Again, we talk about this all the time, every single episode now that we've been doing the end of season awards, talking about this season in snapshots. There is a very strong argument to say that the first half of this season was Clara Bull's season. She was like all the men so talking about Elise's assisting run. Clara Bull was on an Elise run before Elise was even being talked about on his Elise run. Like, she was doing goal contribution stuff the way no one really has in WOSO. Like, it was like selfishly unselfish. Like, she was like, there were chances where I'm like, Clara, just fucking score. Like, you don't have to play it across to Harder. Obviously Harder will score, but there are just moments where I actually think that's the only thing I would say to improve, to get out of her game, is the ability to, like you're saying, yes, she's not the most devastating goal scorer. She can be, if she wants to be, if she wants to take away half of her assists and make them goals. It's not like that's impossible. And also now with Harder being such like a devastating 9, we're not questioning where she should be, whether it's a 2 up front or if they're playing Damjanovic, however they're going to set up their team. Clara Bull's next step in her like evolution is to double her goal tally, and I don't think that's not achievable. I think the system is suited for her to be that traditional winger who plays it across, and I love that. But if they're gonna beat Barcelona, if Germany is gonna beat Spain, she's got to be the one who's taking the reins on herself, and she is already that.
I think I agree on a Champions League level, on a national level, but I think that the women's game is losing role players on the flanks in the leagues.
That's true. That's true, yeah.
I think that it's actually quite refreshing to see somebody be so unselfish on the flanks and really not have to rely upon, those God-given gifts. She's deceptively fast. She's incredibly creative. But those things that are taught, those things that are system-based, which are get the ball, look up, and cross. And she does it perfectly. 14 assists. They don't come out of nowhere.
I love the Arsenal fans saying I miss the hug the line facilitator winger.
When now, I know
Caitlin Ford. No, I know, but I know that. But then I'm about to go into a season where there's a potential that we line up at some point this season with Lauren Hemp, Beth Mead, and Bunny Shaw, and all Hempo and Meadow are gonna do are just cross, and it's just gonna be like facilitator FC, and it's like I'm here for it. I'm all here for Clara Bull to be the fastest, most devastating facilitator winger. I just think she's so much more than that. And if she I genuinely do see a Ballon d'Or if she keeps going at this level, if she just doesn't get injured, right? Like it's some of football is just unlucky, and that was what happened at the end of the season. And sadly, she wasn't fully fit for the end of this season, and you could see the level drop off. But that's not her fault. That's coming back from injury. You're just not going to come back and get a hat trick of assists and be like, wow, I'm back. But I do love that you've put her up and down on the left side. Generational leggy moment there.
My right-sided player is Selena Serci.
See, this is more ridiculous in my opinion than Clara Bull.
For Germany, because of the abundance of strikers and wingers that they have, they do actually substitute her on sometimes in those more competitive matches in right back. She does nothing. She's not very good. She's
shite. She's dog shite at right back. She is a generational forward, and she's very good on the right side. But if there's a reason why they put Gwyn on that side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's a reason why when they lost Julia Gwyn, they basically lost the Euros. But anyway.
Yeah. And there's a reason why she's flirting with Arsenal and, continues to flirt with Arsenal. Can you just sign her already? It's driving me absolutely nuts.
That's the question.
Just Stanway and Ona. Just so terrible. Such a terrible season for Arsenal's transfer window.
We haven't signed them yet. We haven't even signed them yet.
I mean, yeah, but Stanway's is like there. She just has to put the signature down. I think Ona will go, but Searchy is the one that's like Searchy is like begging for it. She's the Arsenal fan, which is crazy.
I go on Instagram and I see everything, and Searchy, I see you. I'm like flirting with Arsenal back at you. Anyway.
All right, let's talk about how good her Hoff season was because it was amazing.
What many thought was an anomaly season in 24-25 was followed up with an even better one in 25-26.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah. The top goal contributor in the league has seen her goals continue to be at an incredibly high level, but she increased her assists threefold, going from 3 to 9 assists this season. Yeah. She's also facilitated incredibly well into Hoffenheim's two-front system, which has then allowed her to go a bit wide, and that's why I've had her at that right-sided position, because yes, she's an incredible goal threat, but her crosses, the distribution, the way that she's so composed on the ball, the way that she's able to attack her fullback or her defender, back post, front post, wherever you want her, she will be and she will do a job. But look, I think that it's really hard to improve from a groundbreaking season, especially one where Selena Sochi was in the conversations back in 2021. I was seeing people talk about her. She got these, I believe it was an ACL or it was definitely a season-ending injury. And people didn't really know what was going to happen. There were bigger German names coming forward, especially in the national team, which she hasn't really put her foot into in terms of being a starter. But she goes to Hoffenheim and it's amazing. I mean, she's literally very similar to Mulhouse. Increase the stocks of that team. They were always flirting with that top 3 battle, that top 4 battle, but these last 2 seasons, off the back of Searchy and a couple of other players at Hoffenheim, she has had and they have had really, really amazing seasons, which if you're a fan of Hoffenheim, you probably weren't expecting 4 years ago, but now they're doing it and they're doing it at an obviously amazing level. Searchy's going to be a loss if she does leave. She was expected to leave halfway through the season, and I think that's why we saw a bit of a drop-off. It was that lack of motivation, but if she fixes up her mentality a little bit, I think she can be a full 26, 28 game season player in the league and score not the amount of goals that, like if she goes to the WSL, she's not going to score X amount of goals, but she will be in the double digits easily.
I agree with nearly 99% of everything you said. The only difference I have is what Arsenal want Searchy to be. And I am kind of the ilk that, especially with the way Renee was setting up some of your teams last season, especially with the game against us, I think Searchy's this season was a mature season. This was, how do I back up last season where I was arguably the most devastating front-facing striker in the world? I started getting doubled up. I'm playing alongside Kersler. Kersler's a really good striker. Kersler leaves, goes to Denver Summit. How do I play with Nikki Van Dijk? She was just solving problems that they weren't able to actually solve because, I mean, you can only solve it with world-class footballers who adapt like this. And Searchy was just generationally impressive this season, especially the back end of this season. Like, Hoffenheim, I'm going to be real. There were portions of Searchy's season, I'm going to say in February, up to basically the end of March, I think she was quite disappointing. And I don't think I had her in that same stead. But the end of Hoffenheim's season, to end up top 4 ahead of Leverkusen, despite Leverkusen's end to the season as well, I think it's all about her. The things she was doing at the end of the season, the hat-trick, the 3 goals, 2 assists against Köln in a 6-2 win, that's all her. That's her destroying, terrorizing. Yes, she's a bit of a flat-track bully. I'm not going to sit here and say that she did it in the biggest games, though at the end of the season, she scored against Bayern Munich, right? Like, she can do it in the big games, and then was getting called up to Germany and doing stuff for Germany. I would say in the Nations League, not as impressive, but also was not terrible. Again, young player, young for like a world-class player, 26 years old, you expect a level, but when you go to Arsenal, you can play anywhere across the front 3 because she can, and that's what the Bundes is good for, those hybridized players. I can 100% see Arsenal lining up with, yes, the standard in my head would be Searchy on one side, Smithy on the other, Russo in the 10 and Stina in the 9. But that's very obvious. That's like when you're coming up against a flat track side like West Ham or Brighton and you can just pepper them with power. But if you want to shock teams like Chelsea, if you want to shock teams like Lyon with pace, power, strength, like I could see you playing Smithy on one side, Smiller on the other, Ona in behind Smiller to be that cover, and then Searchy at the centre with Russo in behind, so that you just have this overwhelming, explosive, pacey power team, which is what I think Renee is trying to do. When you bring in players like Ona, Searchy, Stanway, they're not just like, yes, Ona and Stanway aren't the slowest, but their press, their power, their aggression. Searchy's aggression is insane. Like, these are players that Arsenal are going to be playing at a speed next season, which is terrifying for rival fans and terrifying for teams like ours that have, like, AG and Kanak are great players, but having Smithy and Searchy pressing at you, who are arguably double the pace of those two players, in my opinion, is a scary precedent. And that means you have to be on your A game when you're playing around the back, which City were last season. But again, nothing lasts forever. And I think this new generation of the transitional game that WOSO and Menso has become, players like Searchy in the Arsenal model will absolutely thrive. And that's where I think last season, Searchy that got 18 goals in the 24-25 season, playing solely in the 9, I think she's a sleeping giant. If she goes into the Arsenal setup, if she starts in the 9 first game, I don't think she will, but if she plays in the 9, I genuinely think if you gave her a whole season in the 9, she could top score in the WSL.
I mean, it's great optimism. I just don't think that we and Renee are going for it, mostly because I think that Searchy has to prove herself. I think that she has to prove herself against Chloe Kelly, against Caitlin Ford, against Olivia Smith, against Sina. I would rather that lineup that you'd have for the Champions League against teams like London City, against teams like
just overpower them completely. But I think it's a switch up for us.
Yeah, but Searchy has no European experience. I'm still like that mentality for me is a bit of an issue. I see a bit of that Chloe Kelly-ness about her, and that's not to diss Chloe Kelly.
Did Liv Smith have Champions League experience when she came in?
But Liv Smith is different because she had WSL experience. Selena Searchy is coming from Germany, a completely different league, as we've talked about. We haven't seen many German players make it into those big 3 teams in the WSL because of that reason. Nuskin's probably the only example that I have as a real starting player because of the reason, and Kanak, but they're spine players. They're defensive, more defensive players. Searchy is a player that I have to, similar to Smiller. Smiller did it, but I need to see it on a level that actually warrants her starting, because right now Renee's going to choose whether I like it or not.
No, you've got an amazing squad, but I do think Searchy's ceiling is starting in Champions League games, terrorizing teams, also making she's not going to Arsenal to be on the bench. There's no question about it. The hunger she has.
You kind of have to though. Like, I'm sorry.
No. I'm not saying she doesn't.
You have to go in kind of expecting to start on the bench. You know.
No. I understand that, but what I'm saying is when she comes off the bench, let's say she gets 25 minutes. Her 25 minutes in her mind is these 25 minutes are going to be the next 25 minutes I get until I start for Arsenal.
Exactly.
She's not coming to be a super sub. She's not coming to, yes, you have to adapt and you are in a pecking order. But I can tell you now, a player with her hunger, a player who's averaging 15 plus goals a season in a top European league is not going to Arsenal to be a bit part player. She wants to go there to be the face of Arsenal. The way she posts about Arsenal is not someone who just is sitting on the bench. And I'm like, I don't know, it's exciting. Like, I say this with a little bit of sadness in my voice, but that hunger is the hunger I used to see when I watched Caitlin Ford winning, trying to win her spot in the team. I think how many times you speak to Arsenal fans and they say, "Oh, Ford's got to go out of this team. Mead's got to go out. Mead has left. Ford has stayed." Right? So Ford has got something to prove. Chloe Kelly, not the season she was expecting after last season. Definitely. I mean, if she ends up in the Ballon d'Or noms, I'm never watching WOSO again. I'm actually done. I'm actually done with WOSO if she ends up in the noms. But
it's not WOSO's fault if she ends up in the noms.
No, it's the journo's fault. That's our people's fault. That's the people who watch the game deciding that she scored 3 penalties and ended up top 10 in the Ballon, which is mental. But Selena Searchy is much, in my opinion, as someone who we watch the Bunds week in, week out, and she is someone that I look at and think she could be Arsenal's future for the next half a decade. I think that that's really refreshing for Arsenal to have a player who loves Arsenal going into it, you know? Like, this is, like, it is different to Stanway and Ona, where Stanway and Ona are amazing players, but, I mean, and they will be amazing players for Arsenal, but it's different when Arsenal isn't just choosing them, they're choosing Arsenal, you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a great point. But my two strikers, I have two, are Pernille Harder.
Yes, that's our 3-5.
I know, I'm just saying.
Leggy ball.
Are Pernille Harder and Vanessa Fidala, one being world-class, world-known, the other a very underrated player in a very underwatched Leverkusen side. But I will start with Pernille Harder, another standout season for one of the best strikers of her generation.
Another player Chelsea regret losing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, definitely now with their striker crisis.
No, but the two of them went together, right? Maggie and her went together as a couple pair. I don't know how that signing really worked. It was just like, you're coming with me. Thank you very much. And the power of lesbianism has helped buy into a domestic treble.
It does. It just does it.
Yeah. So Pernille Harder's middle name is Inevitable, correct? I think that's
100%.
the best way to describe her. Oh my God.
I would say inevitable. I would say class. I would say generational, because there is a resilience and a persistence to Harder, which, yes, is very true of many players of her generation. It's just kind of the callousness of that, you know, type of footballer that you went through it all and now you're on the other side and you're still doing it at whatever age. Pop is an example.
34, I think she is.
She's 33 now. So that's
33.
crazy. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But there's something about Harder that is very different to the others, very similar to her and her generation, is that they've had to give up things, parts of their game, some aspects of their games that naturally you do when you reach your 30s. I don't think Harder has dropped off at all. I think she's the same.
This is her best season. This is her best season for Bayern.
Easily.
By a mile.
Yeah. Yeah, and the pressing machine that she is, the goal-scoring machine that she is, the way that she's able to get in pockets of space and do things from nothing, right? This is a player who will move and off your shoulder and you didn't even know she was there to begin with, right? She's stealthy but incredibly present in everything that Bayern do. She can come a bit further down and play in that 10 role and be a build-up player as well. But look, there is something about Pernille Harder similar to Mulhouse, which is that inevitability that she has. Yes, she scored 16 goals this season with 7 assists. Like, this is a player with a lot of GA, but you know, she's playing up to 1,500 minutes, and that's insane numbers for a 33-year-old. And to do that starting 17 of 24 games is incredibly rare, but she's doing it at a level that I haven't seen a drop off. It's the football intelligence, it's the quality on and off the ball that are all lending to her being, or have all lent her to have another fantastic season. A season that you would expect from someone Selena Serchi's age of 26, she's doing at 33, which is amazing.
I think there's only one part of her game that I think has like slightly decreased, which is like from the middle pocket of the field. I think she used to be a little bit more versatile with her aerial ability. I think, but again, she scored a lot of headed goals this season. I think she is doing it for club and country. Like Mikkelsen, we spoke about Mikkelsen's Denmark, which is an immense side. Crazy stuff going on in the in Denmark's qualification route by going undefeated, and she's coming on. She's helping Cecilia Fleur. She's helping this new generation of Danes go through to 2027 in Brazil. But I mean, again, I know this wasn't in the Bunds, but when you're on the pitch with Barcelona's women's side and you're arguably the best player on it, I think you just have to be someone who needs to be universally respected. This is her best season, in my opinion, than any season she had at Chelsea. Wow. I think this was a better season. This is the best season she's had since she was at VFL that got her the move to Chelsea. There is an inevitability to her goal scoring, which complements the inevitability of Clara Bull's facilitation. Her ability to dribble. She's not fast. It doesn't make sense. How does she just beat everyone for pace? How does she beat everyone for intuition and timing? Her left foot, her right foot. She's two-footed. She's got an aerial threat. She plays with her back to goal. She can play in the 10. She can play on the wing if you really want her, like she did at Chelsea. But again, waste of time when you have players like Linda Dahlman and Clara Bull on either side. I think Pernille Harder is easily many people's shout for player of the season this season because of her ability to just not have a bad game. I mean, we call her Pernille harder. It's per 1-0, per 2-0, per 3-0 harder, and she just does it week in, week out. That run in December into February, I think she went like 9 games in a row with a goal contribution from October into like the turn of the year. Like it was like Pernille Harder and Clara Ball were running on fumes at the exact same time, and that's what made that partnership arguably the best partnership in WOSO for 2.5-3 months this season.
Yeah, and I think that what Pernille Harder has is something that my next player has, and it's basically just growing for this next player in Vanessa Fudala, which is the intelligence on the ball. I think that this is more so a player that's just underwatched more than underrated, because she's been doing this since 2021 and it's kind of gone unnoticed by so many people because not a lot of people either watch Leipzig or not a lot of people watch Leverkusen. But Vanessa Fudala has had an exceptional season, 14 goals, a bag of assists. Like, this is incredible numbers for a Leverkusen side that, yes, were 5th on equal points to Hoffenheim. Like, this is not a team that's middle of the table by any metric, but they are still struggling against those top sides, yet she's the one having those big games. She's the one having those breakout games, those games that would usually require then a move afterwards. But we know by the standard of WSL, particularly WSL targeting, it's not usually at the Leverkusen types or even the Hoffenheim types. They're looking at the VFLs and Bayerns. But in that case, you're missing out because Fudala has started 25 games this season and can have big game moments, but also just do exceptionally well in those run-of-the-mill 90 minutes. You know, getting goals and assists, being influential on that right-hand side. It's very much similar to Hoffenheim. It's a two-front system. But rather than being, as she was previously, that sole number 9, she's been able to drift wide. And it's those 1v1s. It's the fact that she has been able to successfully combine with her striker, but as well as her fullback and her midfield to create combination plays, which I think have really leveled up Leverkusen's game this season in the front line. But yeah, this is another season, her 3rd season, finishing in the top 10 of goal scorers, and she's even in the top 10 of assists this season. She's an adapting footballer and one that I think we should keep an eye out on as in the footballing conversation for one of the big bright stars coming through.
We do rate her so highly, especially her start to the season. But I mean, even I remember her Frankfurt game at home, 2-0 for Fudala brace, and her intuition is crazy for a young star. She still hasn't got that international senior call up, which is surprising considering the 9 issue. Right? But yeah, she has played for the under-23s. But again, there is a pecking order here. I mean, I forgot to speak about it when we were talking about Harder, but Harder's success has also come off the back of Leah Schuler leaving mid-season, right? Leah Schuler was the banker for Bayern. Like, she will get 20 goals a season, and then Leah Schuler left and Harder was like, all right, we need someone to fill her boots, and she filled it and did it even better. Fudala, on the other hand, is a player who will get a move eventually. I just don't see her future at Leverkusen the same way, especially because Leverkusen are getting gutted in ways that are all rumours, but eventually will come into fruition if they just keep playing to this level. 5th in the Bunds, very close, just on goal difference behind Hoffenheim. I think Fudala, I'd like to see more of her in the top level, doing it in the big games. Yes, Frankfurt is a big game, but I'd like to see more of that. I'd like to see her ability to, I don't know, just like, I think it's hard for me to say to do it in a game against Bayern, but VFL are achievable. I think VFL, she did end up with a goal. 100%. She did end up with a goal in the VFL game away from home. So like, she definitely has the ability to do it in the big games. And then also, I think the underrated part of her game is probably her chance creation. I think she takes away 2 or 3 defenders because she's such a goal threat, and then can play those balls in behind. And Leverkusen do have very fast wingers. They do play that 4-4-2 with Kramer, having Kogel, having Carlotta Wamser, who many consider to be one of the unsung heroes of the Leverkusen season, has been linked to a few different clubs, Carlotta Wamser. And I mean, I mean, like the loan has been on loan at Frankfurt and had spells there. So it's good to see Wamser back at her top level at Leverkusen. So maybe they are building a little bit of a run for Europe if they hold on to Fudala. Yeah, exactly. Young,
like 23
hungry
years old
players.
Every starting
Yeah,
11.
so it's exciting to see them. They ended the season relatively well. I mean, if they beat Werder Bremen in that last game, they would have ended up top four. But obviously, that was Fudala versus Mulhouse, two of the generational like mavericks in the Bunds, and I think Mulhouse got the better of her that game. But also, I would say the Werder Bremen back line, Fischer specifically, the goalkeeper, made 7 saves. There's something. Sometimes there's just not much you can do if you're Fudala, but she only had 1 shot in that game, so the defense would have played a huge role in that. Specifically, their defensive midfield, Juliana Wirtz and Hausiker, with amazing defensive contributions for Werder Bremen. But I think, yeah, Fudala, I mean, the numbers aren't surprising because we've seen it before, but it's just whether she replicates it enough to end up in that Germany setup.
She's been replicating it since 2021. This isn't even her best season on numbers. Like, she's had games where she's had seasons where she's scored upwards of 20 goals. Like,
but that was in the Bundesliga too. Like yes, her stuff in the Leipzig era was great. I'm just waiting for her to get the call up for Vuk, right? If she keeps going at this level in the Frauen Bundes, I'm like, again, she's gone from last year where she was 10 goals, the season before 10 goals, all in the Bundes. She's now jumped it to 14 with 20 goal contributions for the season. I'm very excited in what she can become. I just don't want her to be thrown into the deep end just yet in comparison to Searchy, who's been doing it season in, season out at the highest, arguably the highest level in the Bundes. And then the manager of the season, is it even a question at this point? No, it's Barcalas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, manager, legend, domestic treble. I mean, it is just easy to go with the domestic treble winners. See, Chelsea, this is your fault. We didn't win the domestic treble, but it was still AJ Eggs anyway. Yes. But I will jump into my 11 like an absolute spoon leggy. God forbid I did a 4-3-3. I've actually chosen Laura Johanna Dick in goal instead of Anna Marmutovic. Yes, save percentage, goals conceded is the argument here, but also I'm going to say Michelle Kang has helped my argument a little bit here in the sense of that Marla Gross is the one who's been taken by Lyon instead of Marmutovic. I think they could have gotten either of them. They chose Gross. I do question why. I think Marmutovic is arguably a better keeper than Gross, if not better, but I don't know. Gross had an amazing season too. I think we can't deny that when Marmutovic went to solely focus on the Champions League, Gross came in, only conceded 2 goals in her 12 games as a goalkeeper for Bayern Munich, which is impressive, whereas Marmutovic conceded 7. But Laura Johanna Dick playing basically every minute of this season for Hoffenheim, just generational stuff for her, and she was fantastic. She had moments. I mean, we put her in some of our team of the seasons this year. I think she was just not team of the season, sorry. We put her in some of our team of the weeks this season. She conceded 30 goals this season, but across 26 games, which was the second best defensive record of any team in the Bundes. She won games off her own back, especially like the Leverkusen game away from home, 1-0. She was fantastic in that.
Made at the end of the season as well.
Yeah, exactly right. She made some really good stops. I think 9 clean sheets, which is the second highest. Her sweeper abilities, her pass capacity is very impressive. Her long balls are decent as well. I just think she's a really talented goalkeeper who's only 23 years old, and it's exciting to see young German goalkeepers. I mean, it's unsurprising, obviously, because that's what they do, but I think it's just a bit of respect for the second best the second best defense in the league itself, not just like shilling Bayern's backline, which I am about to do right now ahead of the play. I'm not going to talk about too much about the players we've already spoken about, but at left back, obviously, Janu Levels, Animal, owned Nuremberg. Both games cooked them, was player of the match. Start to the season was immense. I think she is a little bit of a flat track bully, but her highest interceptions per 90, despite the fact that they have so much possession in Stefan Lerch ball, is crazy stuff. Right back, I'm going Ket. I really wanted to put Simon there, but I just think I think Simon is just. I mean, it's more sad that you're just comparing it off the back of her previous seasons and it not being her prime. But she's holding her level magnificently, Simon, and she's incredible. Gwyn as well deserves a shout out too. But Ket can play both sides. Right backs this season kind of did stink the gaff out a little bit. In opposition teams, specifically at VFL, they were just shilling Janu that whole season, in my opinion. But an elite player, her only terrible moments in the season were in the UWCL. So she was still good. Potential. She genuinely has potential to be the best fullback in the world, Franziska Ket. I actually think there's no doubt about that. Her aggression, her pace, her power, her knack for goals. It's Esme Brutes-like in that way. Gwyn as well. She did play more than Gwyn. I think if Gwyn played a bit more this season, I think we'd both be putting Julia Gwyn at right back. We already spoke about Maggie Eriksson. I still think all time, she's a little bit overrated, but she is still 32 years old. We already mentioned it, just keeping her level. What a figure to have at the back for Bayern, holds the fort. Aerial duels at an elite level. But speaking of aerial duels, the other centre half, I have one of our points of difference, Leggy. I have Vanessa Gilles. I couldn't leave her out. My Canadian go. She's too good. She was actually the first goal of Bayern's season, and when she came back from injury, she ended up packing in some goals too. Her aerial ability, I mean, we've spoken about it before. You've even said it is arguably best in the world. Minga would be the other option. I would have her centre back here. I literally tossed and turned last night choosing which one do I want in. Obviously, Minga, the generational leader for VFL, but I mean, Gilles only conceded 2 goals this season.
She only played 12 games.
She actually played 14 games,
14
just saying.
games.
14 games.
How many did she start of the 14?
What?
many did
9.
she
She did start 9, but she did come on in certain games in like at halfway through the game due to injury and stuff. But the start of her season basically set up the foundations for Bayern's backline so that when Bundeslagers came in, Maggie could take the Gilles role on herself. But she was scoring goals for fun. She scored 3 in 4 games at the start of the season in September because of her inevitability to strike the ball. I think the move to Bayern was generational from Lyon. I just don't think Lyon were using her in the way that was respectful of her ability. Yes, she was incredibly impressive for Lyon in that 24-25 season. But I think, I mean, obviously in the Arsenal game, in the dire moments, that was when it mattered for her to be the best of herself. But yeah, just I think we just need to see a full season of Gilles again, and I'm excited to see that. I think the 4-2 game, that was in the UWCL. I don't think she's solely to blame for Barcelona just being incredibly immaculate, but in the 1-1 draw, she was very powerful, very dominant. Even in that Manchester United game, I mean, again, this is all European ball, but she is just a fantastic footballer. And I think, I mean, look, if you put her in or Minga in, I'm not going to sleep at night, but I just love Vanessa Gilles, and I think she garners a lot of respect for her ability up forward. And I think there's a chance next year we could be talking about her if all goes right as her and Rose as an incredible central partnership for Canada, where they knock Buchanan out of the question anyway.
Well, I think that she's the best defender for Canada. I think that she was, especially in those opening 4 games, probably the best defender in the world at that point. I mean, she's an incredible lockdown defender as much as she's an aerial threat. And of course, she is fantastic in front of goal, but we know that the German league is 100% based on most of the time, based on those crosses and how dangerous they are. And if you're going to have somebody as aerially dangerous as Jules, you might as well put her in there to clear those balls away as well. And she was incredible at that. Again, my only qualm with your pick, of course, is the fact that she didn't play enough games. But I think next season, if she starts the way that she started last season and continues and is consistent, I think that she's an easy shoe-in, not only for, easily team of the season in the Bundesliga, but easily team of the season in Europe, a Ballon d'Or pick as well. I mean, if you can have someone like Renard up there, yes, the pedigree of Renard and the pedigree of Lyon is something that, puts her up onto the echelons of those top tiers, of those top 10s and Ballon d'Ors. But Gilles is equally as fantastic. If Leah Williamson can get top 10s and top 15s in Ballon d'Ors, there's absolutely no reason why Gilles can't either.
I mean, also, we're talking about the lack of Stanway. They're going to need someone to whip the balls in. But I think Harder will come into the 10, personally. I think Imade is going to go into the 9. And then you have Harder, Imada, Gilles, and Eriksson, like 4 generational aerial threats for Gwyn to cross into, or Ket to cross into, Simon to cross into. Yeah, maybe they play a 2 up front, 4-4-2 as the answer to
3-5-2.
the universe. Yeah, 3-5-2, leggy ball. Sorry, apologies. But that is my back line. We're going to go into the midfield. Georgia Stanway, we spoke about her, the quarterback, the scariest player for next season, in my opinion. 7 goals, 9 assists, big goals too. Player of the match in the VFL game at home, 3 assists against Freiburg. Basically, everything good about Bayern since she left us is a testament to Georgia motherfucking Stanway. And I mean, now it's Georgia blood clot Stanway coming in to Arsenal. But she's my 6. I know she kind of plays in the 8, but this season I think she's been a bit deeper, honestly. And then in my 8, so I was tossing and turning last night between Ariana Caruso, my Italian goat, and Momoko Magic Tanikawa. But I chose, next season I'm choosing Caruso. I swear to God, next season it will be Caruso. But I've gone Tanikawa, Momoko Magic this season. I spent half of this season chilling her to go out of the team, but she was too good, right? Like, that period from November to April was immense, not just the Asia Cup as well. I think she was amazing in the Asia Cup. She came back, still scored, still playing at an unbelievable level. Big goals, big games, Hoffenheim, Leipzig, Werder Bremen, VFL, doing it in the UCL. She's been so good. I think like, honestly, the way when she drops the shoulder and turns and runs, like, there is a direct nature to her football that Japan need, that Bayern definitely needed, because ultimately Pernille wants it in front of her. You put the ball at Tanikawa's feet and you just let the magic happen. And I think she's just one of those players that's probably just such a joy for Barcalas to coach, to have the freedom, give her the space, especially, obviously, the luxury of Stanway in behind means that a player like Tanikawa can do the free stuff, the almost, as many United fans would say, the Jess Park stuff that Tanikawa is able to do and arguably do better. But I think I just couldn't leave Tanikawa out of this team.
Yeah, and I think that it's not crazy to say that there is a bit of Saki in Tanikawa. Now, is that a direct comparison? No. Wow, crazy. Because I think that Sawa is probably one of the best Asian players, the best Asian player ever.
Sorry, are you saying Saki Kumagai or Hamare Sawa?
No,
Sawa, yes. No, I agree with that. I heard, because you said Saki, there's a bit of Saki in her. I was like, yeah. So Hamare Sawa, yes, I agree. Like, if Japan are going to be this unbelievable side that replicates the capacities of their World Cup winning side, they need a Sawa regen, and the closest thing we have right now is Tanikawa, and then to have Hasegawa in behind to be that Georgia Stanway like residual tempo creator is the reason why Japan are in the top 7 ranked teams in the world, and it's the reason why they keep winning Asia Cups. It's the same reason why they're always the favourites. It's because that midfield spine is fantastic. I will say Tanikawa did drop off at the end of the season. I do think Caruso did show her levels and did kick her out of that starting 11, but I expect her to be back in the starting 11, especially with her capacity to be a goal threat from the middle of midfield. It is arguably second to none in the Bundesliga.
I shilled her at the start of the season. I was pro Tanikawa from the start because I recognized from last season that this is an incredibly dangerous player, a player that is incredibly versatile in that number 10 position. She's not held back by simply being an attacking midfielder. She can slip into those pockets of space on either side and do incredible work. She enables the likes of Bull and the likes of Dalman to do their job because she takes players away from them. And I think on the cutback, she's one of the most dangerous players. That ball, cut back from Bull on the edge of the box, is going in from someone like Tanikawa because she has the composure, she has the time, and she's not old either. She's quite a young, like mature age player.
She'll get better. This is not her ceiling by any means. 21 years old, and also no safety about her. Doesn't just take the easy route. She'll take on players. She'll get the low XG goals. She's the one where if Bayern are down in like some nook and cranny game against Hoffenheim, she can pull them out of a hurdle. She can also pull Japan out of hurdles as well. I think that's what's so impressive about her.
She's underutilized in Japan. That's why I mentioned Sawa. Like, I feel like if you recognize that there are, actual comparable qualities there, you might as well exploit them and use them. It's a bit strange that they play others ahead of her.
I mean, she showed her class in the Champions League as well. I mean, it's not the first time as well. She played for Rosengard and was amazing for them. But again, that first leg against Manchester United where they won 3-2, Tanikawa got the winner as well. But she had 1 goal and 1 assist off the bench, which is just, I mean, that's her level. That's the thing she was doing. Even in the second leg where they won 2-1 and it was Vigos and Dahlmann with the goals, I just think Tanikawa is one of those players. She had the joint most dribbles, joint most shots, most touches in the opposition box. She's such a menace. It's scary. She's going to get so much better, and she's already an amazing player. And she'll probably be in the 10 next season, and then that's why I can put Caruso in the 8 next season. I'm already building my 26-27 Frauen Bundes team of the season despite injuries. But in the 10, we had to do it. LM7, the taliswoman, Larissa Mulhouse, dead ball specialist, 17 goals. I mean, she is just a freak in the Frauen Bundes. I mean, 10 penalties, little bit of a stat patter. It's quite funny. But she's just so good. Scoring pens isn't also easy. We're watching the World Cup right now. Obviously, Switzerland are 2-0 up. If you, for all you people who want to know that what time we are at in the game, we're about to watch Switzerland go through. But some Olympicos that Mulhouse scored, the VFL loss. I mean, she was still good in the 4-2 loss against VFL, 1 goal, 1 assist. She shows her level despite the fact that her team isn't necessarily all entirely her level, and got the rightful call up to Germany, as we mentioned. Right wing, I've gone Selena Serci. That's why she flirts with Arsenal every 5 minutes. The fluctuating year she's had. I like her in a 2 up front. I like her in a 1 up front. Her cohesion with Kursler and Van Dijk was amazing. I mean, Van Dijk has just gone back to Inter as a loan recall, which makes sense. But she did stink versus VFL, but she was good against Bayern, which shows that she can do the top level stuff. Her speed, her power, her chance creation is the one that's improved this year. But I do think that she is perfectly molded for Rene Ball. And then up front, I mean, this was the easiest choice of them all. Where in the brain department did Chelsea choose to not throw their war chest back at Eriksson and Pernille Harder? Amazing season. This is a Kane Lewa esque season for all you Menso-ites out there. She's just so good. The only thing I wanted to mention that we didn't mention before is she wins so many penalties and fouls. She's so easily fouled. It's so obvious. And she carries the ball so well. That's why. She's just such close quarters, such a good dribbler. I would argue she's still underrated. I don't think if you had a top 5 strikers in the world, I don't know if she would be in everyone's list as a top 5 striker. But I think she's better than both of Lyon's strikers now solidified. I think she's in the realms with Russo, Ewa, Bunny. I think she's 4th. I genuinely think she's 4th. I think it's hard to put anyone other than that. Maybe you'd put TC from the NWSL, Temo Chawinga or Barbara Banda ahead of her, just for legacy in the 9. But I think this season, just pound for pound, is one of the best 9 seasons we've had from a Bayern striker, obviously since the Leah Schuller prime era, and obviously the Pernille Harder era when she, and Pyor era when she was at the Bunds, right? So the VFL generation. But left wing, I mean, do we even have to argue? It's KMFB, Clara motherfucking Bull. We mentioned everything about this girl so much. Since the 17th of October to the turn of the year when she got injured, she came back from injury, was still good, but she is just one of the, I just feel privileged to have been making this podcast while we've watched the instrumental exponential rise of a footballer to a level that I think has made a lot of people question the monopolization of Barcelona, not to the level of that they're still incredible, but next season with Barca's gutting, this front 3 that Bayern have facilitated now with Imade as well means that they are definitely going to be hunting them down. This is the front three to look at. This is the scariest front three in the league when you look at Dahlmann. I know neither of us put Dahlmann or Huth, the generational servants of Bayern and VFL respectively, in our team, but I think that's probably based on their legacy being better in other seasons. But I still think Dahlmann was incredible this season, and Huth as well, so shout out to them. But that is all I have for my Bayern. I was going to say my Bayern team of the season. Basically, I mean, generationally Bayern up top, to be fair. I mean, over half my team is Bayern, which is fair enough. But, Leggy, we're going to jump into the Frauen Bundes player of the season. Who have you got?
I have Pernille Harder. We were just talking about her. I mean, what an exceptional season that she's had. Another exceptional season. A season that will go down alongside her other amazing seasons. But for me, has been a standout season because, no, she wasn't the top goal scorer of the year, but she was the second most contributor of the year. And I think that goes to show that in this Bayern team, that you stand out, whether you are scoring 6 goals or 17 goals, you're going to stand out because this team just facilitates greatness and great performances. But it's about all those moments leading up to those big goals. And look, they scored so many goals that you don't remember all of these goals, but you, as you like to say, those snapshots, you remember the snapshots of Pernille Harder. She, very much like Ewa Payal, she celebrates like she scored the winning goal in a Champions League final most of the time. And it's because she is the leader of that side in that front line. She is the hegemon. She is really a vanguard in that really traditional sense. Yes, because she is generational, but also because she is bringing forward a new generation of striker. She's adopting a lot of what we see from the strikers of today into her own game, whilst also keeping what we love about Pernille Harder, which is those 1v1s, which is those headering capacities, which is everything that we know that she did for Chelsea and for VFL before. But this season for me, I felt like was particularly good, and I think might be, and this is a bit presumptuous, but might be really the last of what we're going to see from the great Pernille Harder. I think from now on, I just don't think that you're 33 years old. And I said before, yes, it's amazing. She hasn't succumbed to her age or she hasn't had to sacrifice many of her qualities, but it is impossible. She did get that injury for Denmark, and that did, stop her from having a full preseason. And she didn't start slowly, but it could have had her start slowly. Injury prone, it's going to happen.
But do you not think they'll just change her role? Like, no, she can just keep her level and just be rested for games?
I think yes, but in terms of the numbers, I think that her impact will be exceptional until she leaves. Yeah. But it's the number of goals, it's the impact. You can't be playing, 20 odd games a season forever, including Champions League, including the 3 other competitions. It's just kind of impossible at this point. With a World Cup coming on as well, I think that Harder will maybe prioritize resting more to be fit for Denmark, so she could have one of, if not the best, campaigns Denmark has had since they got into that final of the Euros about 10 years ago.
Yeah, and so they don't lose 2-0 to the Matildas in the World Cup either. But, mate, Mary Fowler's coming for you. I'm going to shill Pernille Harder until you can't shill Harder, to be honest. She's great. I think she'll look at Alex Pop and be like, it doesn't matter if I'm 34, I can play for another year or two and keep going at this level, because what's stopping her? I guess you're right, durability will be a question, but having the rotational capacities of Caruso in the 10 or Imade up front, like they will rest her consistently and deservedly, because that's how it works. I think she didn't really put much wrong this season. I love how you called her did you call her a vanguard or a vangsguard? Because Vangsgaard is a Danish goat in her own way as well. But player of the season, I'm surprised you didn't go in my direction. I didn't go in your direction, but I went with Georgia Stanway. She played 25 of 26 games in the Bunds and did not put a foot wrong. This is a team with Harder, Bull, amazing footballers in it, and she's the one who takes pens. She scored in her last game. That was probably my most iconic snapshot of this season, bar the Alex Pop drinking a beer in her last game. I think we will see how much Bayern struggle, which will further my comment about the fact that Georgia Stanway is arguably the best player in this team. That includes Clara Bull, that includes Pernille Harder, that includes players like Vigos and Eriksson and Gwyn, like amazing generational footballers. But Bayern, I know going up against them in a Champions League match next year, if we do, they are much less scary, they're much less secure, they're much less safe because they lose the press resistance, the composure, and arguably the best midfielder that England has to offer, and I would say is second to only the APA crew in her technical brilliance and her security. She's someone who's going to get 8 out of 10 every single week. Like it's an 8 out of 10 footballer week in, week out. And now in this Arsenal model, she's come back home to do the business. The northerner going south to show everyone her worth yet again in her immaculate maturity. Georgia Stanway is Bayern Munich's player of the season, in my opinion.
I wonder whether she's the highest rated player in terms of her game-to-game rating. I recognize that Barcelona probably has that in check.
It'd be, I would say, Clara Bull as well this season.
I've seen crazy numbers from Georgia Stanway, like 9.9s, 9.8s, 10s at some stage.
Yeah.
Like she just has like remarkable games that kind of go under the nose because you don't watch.
I'm trying to remember a bad game that she's had, and it just doesn't have. Like I can think of Clara Bull games post injury where she wasn't her like immaculate self, but Georgia Stanway's level just doesn't drop. Even in the Barcelona 2 legs, I still thought she was immense. Obviously playing a different role. She wasn't going head-to-head with APC. Obviously no Aitana. It was C being Clara Serra-Jordi, which I actually think she did an amazing job on Georgia Stanway because that's Clara for you. We spoke about her last week. But speaking of Clara, we are going to go into the underrated, the unsung hero player of the season. Who have you got, Leggy, for the FRAUEN Bundes?
Yeah, I have Loreen Bender from Bayer Leverkusen.
So you're going Leverkusen again, ole ole.
Playing for the severely underwatched Leverkusen, she's a 20-year-old German right-sided midfielder and has had one of the breakout seasons of the ages. I mean, it's a real, her stature, her maturity, great composure, incredible intelligent movement and combination play from a player that has not really had the numbers that she's had in previous seasons. She went from 13 games to 22 all competitions this year, so a real level up. And yes, Leverkusen have disrupted that top 3 race in the past few seasons, but like I mentioned before with the likes of Fudala, there are players that they do rely upon, and I think that Loreen Bender is one of those more underrated players that they rely upon because she's amazing playing on the flank, but comes into midfield and does an amazing job. She is raw on the ball, she's unfiltered, but yes, she has that maturity about her.
She's so fast. Oh my God,
fast.
she's so quick.
Fast.
It's insane. Even I remember the game they lost to Werder Bremen, and I was just like, who is this girl? Yeah. Who's the one who's just absolutely murdering the left back for Werder Bremen? And it was her. I think everything in the back end of last season for Leverkusen, that like last patch of form, was everything good about her game. I think she ended up with a few goal contributions there, and that they won 4 of their last 5, and she was doing fantastic stuff at the back end of the season. I did think Werder Bremen got the better of them at the end of the year, but she was still very good. I mean, if you look at not just like her goal contributions, but her ability to facilitate chances, big, strong chances for Fudala and co up top, like she is going to be one to watch in the next few seasons. Hopefully she just maintains this level. She's gotten consistently better at Leverkusen over the past few seasons, and I'm excited to see her grow. She's obviously part of the under-23 setup for Germany. So, I mean, look, we'll see. If Leverkusen just keep going with this young and hungry side, we could see a Fudala, Bender, Searchy front 3 for a friendly that Vuk plays, and I'd love that, to be fair. I love when Vuk goes into his Emma Hayes mode and pulls out like 3 new first cap players.
Well, the Hoffman experiment, it failed. I think it failed in all honesty in the Euros, and I think he should be looking outwards from that traditional number 9, back to goal striker. I think the Mulhouses, the Freigangs, the Fudalas, the Searchies are the future rather than these 2-dimensional strikers that have worked for Germany
like before, Martinez, Schuller, I don't know, Hoffman, that is that ilk.
Neither of those have had real breakout moments in Germany in the last 12 months. So I just don't see the reason for picking
It's such a shame. I used to shill Leah Schuller so much, and then now she's a United player, and I've just given up on the Leah Schuller of it all. She was that first game of the Euros when she scored and she went into God mode. mode.
And then the game of the Euro. Like, I thought there was going to be the breakout Euros for Leah Schuler at the holy age of 30. Like,
you just have to move on at some point. It's funny. I've also gone. I haven't gone a Leverkusen player. I've gone a player who was at Frankfurt, now at Union Berlin, because she played so well against Union Berlin. They had to sign her. I did really want to give a shout out to Mariella El Sharif, Benchwarmers legend in goal, who had some amazing moments this season. If Jovana DJ Rumdeuter played a little bit more this season, I could have shilled her as well, and Leggy would be fuming at me for shilling Damjanovic. But I had to go with Lisanna Grawe. Lisanna Grawe, I mean, I don't even know if this is an unsung. It's just more like I feel like we still don't give this player enough credit. I know she is getting the credit now with the move to Union Berlin, and I think Union Berlin will become a serious side with a player like her in it. She's, in my opinion, the German answer to the biggest problem that Germany have. Like, you keep talking about the 9 issue. The biggest issue is, how do they fit this midfield together? And it's such a problem because they don't know how to use Nusken. They don't know how to use Minga. They don't know how to use anyone in that midfield pocket with sense as well. They put Yula Brand in the 10. It's horrendous. But this is the answer to all the questions. This is the banker. This is the Adam Wharton to the England side. This is the Elliot Anderson kind of thing that people love.
Kendall.
Yeah, the Lucia Kendall. It's the Kyra Cooney cross. It's not the EVE of it all, to be honest. Let's be real. But she will just get more underrated by moving to Berlin because her move to them is insane. But I'm obsessed with two-way midfielders, and she is one of them. She wins so many duels, not just aerially, which is impressive for a player of her size and stature, but her recoveries, her defensive recoveries for an 8 are arguably best in the league. I'm calling her the German Clara Serrajordi. I think in her own right, she garners that respect from Vuk. Only 6 caps, but they're dying for a player like her to grow. I think Sense is just a player who needs to be further forward. If she's that good at ball striking, she just can't be doing dirty work and doggies for the German national team. It has to be her. And let's be real, Nusk and Brand, it doesn't work. Nusk in the 8 is a terrible idea. We've tried it so many times. Emma Hayes is the only one who can tame Nusken. I don't understand why, but Nusk is also just better aerially. She's a fantastic player who box crashes, and Yula Brand is so much better hugging the line. Let's be real. That's her best. They keep Brand and Bull to the lines. They put Searchy or Anyomi in the 9, or you can play Searchy on the wing, whatever you really want or care for. But the midfield, in my opinion, is Nusken in the 10, Sense in the 8, and Grawe in the 6. That's what I think. Or you play Grawe in the 8, put Minga in the 6, but that's on the precipice that Kuva turns into the defender that she's supposed to be, and then you have Kuva and Kanak as the back two, right? But if Minga is going to play centre back, then you just have to have Grawe in this team to balance the tempo up against the best. Get her the minutes, Christian. Get her the minutes at Union Berlin. I promise she won't let you down. She is my underrated player of the season.
And she's been incredibly consistent for the last 3 seasons, averaging over 25, 30 games a season. This is crazy. A really impressive player who, is incredibly underrated, but I don't think will be for a while. And I think that the Frankfurt of it all, I think that playing for a team that isn't Wolfsburg or Bayern does disadvantage you from the eyes of the women's football consumer. But if they inevitably, and they should, be getting European football, I think that's when you will see her stand out, because I think like Minga, like those 6s that we've seen play in German teams and then go to Europe, there will be standout games where they just control the pitch and control the park, and people will be starting to call her out as one of the more underrated and better players in that 6 that Germany should have.
She's the one doing the dirty work. She's the one who's supposed to get injured, right? Yeah. She's in elite level tackler, interceptions, blocked shots, recoveries, possession 1 in the final third. This is generational stuff. And then when she has the ball, she wins so many fouls. She wins so many duels. It's like looking at a perfect midfielder, a sleeping giant. You think to her, she has the perfect caliber of player to move to a big club, and she's gone arguably laterally. It's a weird move.
I think it's a downgrade. It's a
Yeah,
downgrade.
I mean,
Union Berlin are not getting any Champions League football.
No, I don't think so, unless they're a sleeping giant that I don't know about. But I know Union Berlin put a lot of money into their women's side. They're a very equitable club that are really exciting to see. I think they do have some good players that she will work with. Someone like in the midfield, if she's working with Leah Kamba, who's 20 years old, also a Swiss national who gets minutes for Switzerland as well. So I think that will be an exciting midfield. But yes, you're 100% right. A team look, no offense to West Ham goat Amber Tiziak, but they aren't the best team.
It's like going from Brighton to West Ham in.
Yeah, it's identical. It's virtually identical. I would argue Manchester United to West Ham in that way, because Frankfurt are usually top 4 anyway, top 3, if they're not. But yes, Lisanna Grawe will just get more underrated if that's the case, and I'm excited for her to do that. But we are going to move into goal of the season. Leggy, take it away. Have you got any contenders, or is it just one and done?
There are so many goals that this is the one that stood out for me, mostly for the anecdotal reason that we watched it together and we were both shocked at the same time.
This was early in the season as well. This is by far my favorite goal of the season. Not my favorite comms, but my favorite goal just across Europe, I think.
And this is Enoki Papai versus Hoffenheim with Brennan. This is an incredible goal. Everything about this goal is amazing. So I don't know. I'll take you through it. If everybody forgot about
you've got to give the context of where we are in the game as well.
So it's the last minute of the game. And
unbelievable.
Papai decides to drive into the final third on that.
But what's the score? What's the score as well?
It is, I believe, what is it, 2-2?
No, so it's 1-1.
1-1.
Werder Bremen versus Hoffenheim. Yeah. Serchi has scored as well in the 85th to tie it up. Papai has just come on as a super sub as well. Yes.
And she drives from midfield into the final third. She takes on a player. This is not a good dribbling effort either. This is quite
terrible.
Lethargic. But she gets challenged. She then gets up with the ball between her feet, flicks it up with her. She then takes a touch into the box or just outside the box?
So she's outside the box. She's fallen over. No one is tackling her. She stands up. No. But then she does the La Croqueta. Someone goes in to take it and she does the ball change, the beautiful La Croqueta. And then, take it away. Edge of the box.
Whips the left-hand side to the right corner over the goalkeeper. It's an amazing goal, let alone all the build-up that went to it. It's just pure effort and pure limbs. And what I love about the Bunds is just these out-of-nowhere efforts. It's just incredible football.
It's such a good goal. I literally just need, you know what I need? I need the, the Black Hawk Down music, the Gotorza run. I want that behind the goal. And I want a few edits on the lane change, the La Croqueta, and then the strike over the top. And it's just, or you could play the, what's it called? Adagio for strings as well. You could do that as well. Any sort of beautiful orchestral grandiose music.
How has Brennan not gone viral from this goal? That's
I don't know. That's the real issue. We are Bremen's social media team. That's why. But Imoke Papai, more like Imoke Puskas. Let's be honest. Hungarian goat.
And it won't get nominated. It will not get nominated.
Yeah, it won't get nominated. It's sad. But, let's just be honest. In the Benchwarmers Dior or the Benchwarmers Uskas, I think the Bench Uskas, we will put it in the top 3. No question about it. But I did want to give credit to Lourdes Romero, the goalie for Nuremberg, who scored in match day 26 against VFL with her clearance/shot. That's also definitely up there for goal of the season in the Bunds. And then the only other one I'd say is Larissa Mulhouse's free kick and Yomi's free kick against Frankfurt and Werder Bremen, respectively. Werder Bremen are part of some amazing moments this season. But that actually swipes us in perfectly to the best game of the season. I think we've both unanimously voted that Papai is the best goal of the season. Yeah. But best game of the season, Leggy, take it away. Who have you chosen?
Yeah, I've gone all the way back to match day 1, which I rarely do because I rarely think that the first games, let alone the first 5 games, are indicative of either best matches or best seasons or anything. But this game was just so exceptional, and I think it's there's two reasons why. It's twofold, because this is the Hamburg versus VFL game that ended 3-3. In hindsight, this is even bigger result given the two teams' final ladder positions, VFL obviously coming second and Hamburg scraping past relegation by 2 points, coming in third last. But in the moment, I think it's fair to say the game was signifying of both VFL's fading relevancy in Germany, but also how complacency and inattention can even see the seemingly weakest opponents capitalize. Outside of the broader implications, this was just an insanely fun 90 minutes of football, with the last 10 minutes seeing Hamburg come back from 2 goals down to draw the game in their first points in the first game day in their promotion season after coming up from the Bundesliga 2. And you know what? I think this game is just indicative of VFL's season. I think that if you took this game and you took it to their next matchup, it's completely different. This is very much a VFL performance in the fact that they will come against this team and lose, and then, or even draw, and then in their next game against the lot will beat them 3-1 like they did against Hamburg in their home match. But it's what VFL have been doing for the past few seasons, and it's why Bayern are the team that they are and have taken over in the monopoly of German football, because of the complacency, as I mentioned earlier, because VFL are getting these results where they otherwise wouldn't be.
Yeah, and the lack of midfield in this game was what led to the 6 goals magic. Also, I mean, shout out to anyone who watched this game and saw a 17-year-old Lotte Rede. I bet I could tell you that Romeu was definitely watching this game, and the Barcelona scouts who have been interested in her, despite the fact that she's not for sale anymore. I mean, there were just so many good games in the Bunds. I mean, I shilled the Bunds all season until it was over, but I've made myself a little bit of a top 5. I just think it's just, I mean, there's an honourable mention as well, so it's basically a top 6. But the honourable mention is Hoffenheim getting packed in by Hamburg and Lotte Rede herself 4-0 at home. Lindbergh also with a brace running the show. If you want to see why Barca were after Rede, watch this game, watch the game that Leggy just said. But I will go into my 5 properly. So match day 6, we had Freiburg versus Frankfurt. This is when Freiburg were on their generational starting run where they were invincible for about the first 10, 11 games of the season. But this was also the game where they were 1-0 down, Freiburg, and Selina Vobian comes off the bench in 45 minutes, gets 2 goals, 1 assist in a half to beat them 3-2. Really fun watch, just watching a player be on God mode for 45 minutes. Just watch the second half of that game. It's amazing. Number 4, match day 23. This is probably the iconic snapshot for Bayern's season, is Bayern beating Union Berlin away from home. This was when Union Berlin were really good, scoring some amazing goals to get back into this game 2-2, but then it was Julia Gwynn back from injury with that magnificent volley late to win 3-2. Display of class from both teams, top players. Shout out to this game, it was really good. Number 3, very unlucky to not get higher in the table for me, was VFL versus Nuremberg. This was not only the game where the Nuremberg goalie scored that clearance/shot, but it was Alex Pop's farewell game. She scored a brace in, 15 minutes, something like that. Ridiculous goals. One of them was a free kick. One of them was a header. Comes off the bench, is drinking beer on the side of the pitch of the AOK Stadion. This was magnificent, generational limbs. If you want to watch the most fun game in the Frauen Bundes this season, that is the one. Number 2, very lucky to not finish at the top, was match day 22, another VFL game with Union Berlin as well, a 3-3 game, late goals from VFL to tie the game at 3-3, but then there was a red card for Stina Johannes in the 87th minute, and they had no subs left. So what happened? Janina Minger puts on the goalkeeper jersey and had to go in goal for the last 10 minutes of the game, which, I mean, they ended up getting the equalizer in that game. So they were 3-1 down. They got the 3-2. The red card comes in, and then Pujols scores the goal to make it 3-3, which was absolutely mental. If you want a game that just is the weird and wonderful of the Bunds, that is the one. But for me, personally, this is the point where you put your number 1, is I love watching Frankfurt lose. I love watching Larissa Mulhouse do her business. And thirdly, most importantly, I love amazing commentary. And my God, this game, match day 20, Werder Bremen versus Frankfurt, where Frankfurt are 2-0 up because Anyomi is a freak and then scored a fantastic free kick as well, is outdone by a free kick for the ages from Mulhouse. Shambolic defense from Frankfurt as well means that they score Bremen score 4 unanswered goals, all wrapped up with this Scottish/British comms that was absolutely unreal. Like, this was the one that we spoke about before, where he was saying, you've just seen 2 free kicks on the banks of the River Weser. It was fucking insane comms. I even tried for half an hour last night to find the commentator who commentated this game. Okay. And I used Google, I used AI, I used fucking everything everything literally unethical means of trying to find this commentator, and I couldn't find it, and even AI got it wrong. So if anyone knows who commentated this game on match day 20, I know, but the reason I think it is because it was one of those those fan channels that do the English versions of commentated games. I don't think those people get credited to do it, so that's why I think I couldn't find it. But this game on the 25th of March, match day 20, if anyone is that commentator, I want to speak to you. Thank you for commentating this game so well. It was elite stuff. It was my favorite game of the season by a mile.
Yeah, I mean, amazing. I mean, I think the Bundesliga just have these incredible games that go unnoticed by the general WOSO public because everyone's concerned about 1-0 shit games in the WSL.
It's disgraceful. I cannot believe not to toot our own horn here, but the reality is that there are just not enough. If we had football podcasts that were talking about the Bunds week in, week out, then we could see there is a general PR consensus. But we're saying Pernille Harder's underrated. We're saying Clara Bull's underrated, not just because they're amazing footballers that don't get the respect. It's because they don't get any of the PR. I think Clara Bull did get PR at the start of the season, but then everything just dissipated once Bayern were out of the UCL, once Clara Bull got injured. It's just, I don't know, it's just a bit of a cop-out. And I think the Bunds has been amazing this season. It's going to be amazing next season. And I am here for all of it. And I'm here for more Frankfurt degeneration, to be honest, with all of their exoduses going. But maybe Larissa Mulhouse can save them. But that is all for next year, and that is all we have for the Bunds this week, this season, and that is all we have for part 1 of the podcast.